My wife cheated on me multiple times while on a vacation and had a pregnancy scare. 1SR story. We've been dating since we were 14, were married when we were 23, and have been married for 5 years. We have 2 children. In June, we celebrated the 5th anniversary of our married. The subject of children had come up in conversation recently, and a few of evenings before we'd been drinking and the conversation turned to pregnancy concerns. We had a number of those back in college, and then my wife, who had been drinking, brought up the one that happened in 2017. Which brought me to my senses quickly because the last time we had one was in 2012, when we were both 21 years old. I was like, what do you mean, 2017? I was confused. It caused her to get this strange smile on her face before she tried to play it off as if it was a drunken slip of the tongue, but I've been with her since we were 14 years old. I can tell when anything is wrong with her, and I told her that she was lying and that she should explain what she meant by a fright in 2017. As she attempted to walk away, my thoughts began to race, and I grabbed her hand and screamed, "Tell me what the hell you're talking about." Then she just breaks down and sobs as if her parents had just died in front of her. A few days before the trip ended, she told me that she and her 2 friends went on a vacation where they met some guys and partied with them. That was in 2017. It lasted 10 days, and this would have been day 6 of that period. The 2 of them proceeded to the guy's house to continue their conversation, and her pals were with a couple of them. She said that she had lasted a little longer with another and that she had been firm about being married. However, the dude was attractive and personable, and he was able to persuade her to have a good time. It was pointed out to me that she was thousands of miles away from her husband, that I would never know, and that this might be her only opportunity to have sexual relations with someone other than the one guy she'd only ever slept with before. She admitted that she protested at first, but that she eventually forgot about me and us and just went along with it. She slept with him again that night, and then a couple more times over the course of the remaining days of the trip, before returning home. Their questions and comments were non-existent, and she claimed she felt awful but went ahead with it anyhow. "Don't worry, we won't say anything, and whatever happened here, stays here," one of her pals stated on the last day of the vacation as she and her friends returned to the hotel. In the meantime, she was crying uncontrollably over there. According to her, she felt as though she was experiencing a full-blown mental collapse. They consoled her and assured her that they would back her, but she was firm in her resolve to have many encounters with the man. She admitted that she felt like such a piece of garbage. And just before she returned home, she called me and said she'd be getting a ride to her mother's house, where she'd be staying for a few weeks. I was relieved. During this period, she was put through her paces and contemplated her options. She wanted to tell me, but she didn't want to risk losing me, so she decided to put everything behind her and focus on being a better, more devoted wife from that point on. Since then, she has spent less time with those women, and I will admit that she appeared to be making an extra effort to be a good wife and lover when she returned home. I assumed she was overcompensating because she missed me so much, but it turns out she was overcompensating for something else. Which brings us back to the other night. I have the impression that my mind is simply in a stupor. When I got to work, I paced around the parking lot for about an hour, and my manager even asked if everything was okay and told me I could go home if I wanted to. She's been crying a lot while trying to communicate with me. I despise the fact that she's acting as if she's the one who's being wounded by my decision to ignore her right now. She's been assuring me that she'll always be a wonderful wife, but the reality is that she's been with another man on several occasions, and I would have never known if it hadn't been for a foolish conversation that came up while drinking. That leaves me wondering whether she has ever cheated on me in the past or whether there have been any previous scares with other men. What did she do throughout all of the time she spent with her friends? Suddenly, I'm questioning the majority of our 14-year relationship. I'm at a loss on what I should do at this point. I still adore her with all of my heart, but the very sight of her makes me want to hit something or simply grab her and scream in her face till my voice gives out. I despise the fact that I'm in this state of mind. Second story. I broke up with my girlfriend of 2 years about a month ago. She started going back to school a few months ago and started carpooling with a guy in the neighborhood to school. The first time I meet him, he announces that he's an expert at manipulating people and situations. I didn't like him from the start and told my girlfriend that I thought he had bad intentions and that he had the hots for her. She says he's not her type and they are just friends. I decide to not be the controlling type and to trust her. Fast forward to our anniversary and she calls out of work because her back was hurting but ends up doing a side job with a neighbor. She doesn't get home from her side job until almost midnight. She claimed her phone died yet the person she was with had my number. He put me on Do Not Disturb. I confront her about cheating and she denies it. Slowly she quits doing anything to help out our household and is constantly hanging out with her friends. A few days after our anniversary, it's Halloween and she begs me to get pumpkins and wine because we were going to carve pumpkins. She's wearing a questionable Halloween costume and on our way home, she gets a text saying she's invited to dinner and that I'm not invited. So I give her a choice and she says she wants to be dropped off at the neighbor's. So, I drop her off only to return because she's dressed in paper and it's raining. We go back to our house and argue. Next week she gets paid and I ask her to get dog food because I'm broke and couldn't get any. I find out that she spent all her money on her friends after a few days of lying about having money. When I discover she blew $300, I lost mine and confronted her hard about her relationship with the neighbor. She admitted to having an emotional affair with him. So, I kicked her out. Now she's living 6 houses down with the neighbor. I have to drive past his house to leave my neighborhood. He lives with his parents BTW. I've recently heard that he just wants to be friends. I've had only one phone conversation with her since we split up. She calls me to tell me someone grabbed her at work. I told her that they probably figured it was okay since she was of questionable morals. She blocked me. Wife forgiven, first time cheats again. We're married for 14 years and 2 kids, boy 12 and girl 10. A couple of years ago we moved back to the US from abroad. A few months later I found out that she had cheated on me for 1 year with a personal trainer back in the previous city. I felt something was wrong, so I found my way to her phone, and found text messages, photos and videos of both of them. I made copies of all. We saw our marriage counselor. She repented. She even got a regret tattoo dedicated to me. She gave me the password to her phone. We read together a book about women who cheated, the state of affairs. And we had a wonderful year building. I thought we were one of those couples who survived something and put it behind them. Then, we had a trip back vacation to the said city. When we came back, she started acting odd, which got me suspicious. I checked the phone, and found that she is chatting with someone. Probably deleting the chats every day, because I found only 1 day of chats. I am suspecting same guy, but don't have record of his phone number to confirm. If I confirm with more evidence, the path is clear. But I am terrified and scared to pieces. I have never been alone for 14 years. And what about the kids? The reason I chose the forgive path back then was because of the kids. What will a divorce judge do? I am the main earner. With regards to assets, alimony, kids? Does cheating play into this? How can I survive and the kids survive this?